What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, Aqua Life, baby. You already know. And today, guys, I wanted to bring you guys a very long overdue update to my Aqua Force Ripple Riptide Rush deck. Yeah, it's been a minute. I don't think I've updated this deck since I believe the ban list or restriction list February 1st when Odysseus got hit to 2. I just can't really think about it off the top of my head. That's probably where I'm, probably thinking the last time you guys saw my Ripple deck. But yeah, so that's, pretty, I really haven't been lagging with the deck, to be honest. I really had no desire to really work with this deck, going forward too much. I really kept this deck in cold storage. Oh, I like that. I'm doing it into a series. But yeah, I really kept this deck in cold storage, mostly for the part because I think I took too much of a negative outlook on this deck versus the format. 16 G zones really helping Chaos Breaker. Kagro getting Denial Griffin and and the Defeat Flare. Not the Defeat Flare is that great, but Denial Griffin. And them getting really big, and then just I believe it was just I hit a really big creative wall with this deck. Also, again, Thavs is my main deck. It's a deck that I work on the most, so that's why I put most of my blood, sweat, and tears into reconfiguring the deck. The deck's been performing extremely consistently, tournament after tournament after tournament. Regionals, the Dynasty Cup events, everything. Thavs, has been performing very well with it. Blue Waves, I'm starting to try and get, I'm doing more with that as well. It's just that, I really took the focus off of Ripples and I really put that as like a third wheel, so to speak. But, right now, from based upon the results from last weekend when my teammate and friend Ajo won our Dynasty Cup Vanguard Summer Wars East Coast Circuit event, which had over 50 players. He won that event with Ripples. And, we were actually working on the deck, constructing, talking about builds, play testing on Cardfight area and whatnot. And, he made some changes the night before that surprised me. He talked about, he talked to me about Milos and having resist and whatnot, and I'm gonna show you guys that in the profile. But, he's, the way, he approached the deck and whatnot really sparked my creativity with the deck. It really made me take a look at this deck and other decks, my other Aquaforce decks as well, in a different light. Just trying out different things, looking at other cards. I can't find the words right now, but thanks to him has really helped me creativity, on a creative basis on a deck building basis, to, find another way to advance myself as a player and get myself out of this weird stagnation that I felt that I have been stuck in a way. And so I really appreciate that. And him winning with Aqua Life made me really happy. And he's only been playing the game since GBT-07 came out. I didn't get to face him, sadly, but I'll give you guys my tournament report, because Stavros and I did, Stavros and I was putting in some work, man. We did some really good work, but a few, bad things that was completely out of our control happened during the tournament and blah, 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 blah. But I'll talk about that when I, in another video. But I'll put the link to the description below of our team channel, and he has his deck profile and a tournament report. That's the latest video that we've uploaded to the channel, so I'll put that in the description below. But yeah, so sorry for the long intro to it. So let's get into the deck profile, guys. I'm really excited about this. Alright, guys, so starter is starting Ripple Alex. He's the Ride Chain card. What makes this deck consistent, obviously, is the Ride Chain. In a way, if you don't hit the Ride Chain, my thought previously with this deck is if you don't hit the Ride Chain, then this deck really falters if you don't hit the Ride Chain. But there are ways around it to make this deck not falter. And again, still not hitting the Ride Chain and having to ride Genovius is still a terrible thing in itself. But there are ways around it, and the way that we built the deck, the way that when I was talking about him playing with the deck, really helped eliminate that one bad type of thing that could lead to multiple other bad things. But Yeah, so starting Ripple Alex is the starter. Is the starter. So when I go through again, it does take some play testing. It does get this deck does get some taking used to. It's not an autopilot deck by any means. It's a deck where you actually have to put in some work too. You might think, yeah, Vanguard's an easy game, blah blah blah. Get that bullshit out of here, guys. This is the deck where you really need to play test with this deck and learn the plays, learn what you need to do in certain situations. 4 heal triggers because we got a heal. 4 Malika. Malika's obviously the greatest draw trigger on the planet Earth. 4 the Ripple crit trigger. You guys know what he does. Orist at the end of the battle that he boosted. If you have a if you have 2 or more units with Ripple that are rested, other units Ripple arrested. You could look at the top 5 cards, add a Ripple card to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. He does whiff sometimes, but it's not that big of a deal. And sometimes he does search himself back out, so it's pretty good. So this guy is very important to the deck as well. He helps get Odysseus to your hand. Again, like I said, he did get hit to 2, which does hurt the consistency of the deck, but again, he does get your Odysseus to your hand. Definitely putting him behind a 10k Pavroth for 14k early game is very nice. Putting him behind your Legion Vanguard is nice. I mean, this guy is so important. Getting him onto the board, getting him attacking is so good. So, yes, very important crit trigger. I use him so often in this deck, searching for cards. It's just so good. And then 4 copies of the Super Saiyan Sailor. This deck does unflip damage. This deck does not have a bad counterblasting problem, but again, there's some situations where you might want to unflip a damage, here and there, depending on how bad things might be in a certain situation. So, yeah. But like I always say, guys, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And sometimes, him just being able to go into the soul is really good because you go into the soul, then you can soul blast with the penguin, soul blast with other things. So it's a very good card. All right, on to grade 1. All right, guys. So for grade 1s, I'm running 3 perfect guards and 1 quintet wall. We were discussing about the quintet wall thing, and I really actually liked his idea, and it does come in handy. The reason for the 1 quintet wall is, again, this deck does have more of a Legion focus as well. So in this deck, a lot of your good players are going to be definitely coming from Legion. So you do have 2 options of being able to make pushes and win the game. And this quintet wall does set up for Legion. Sometimes it can also help you with guarding. It's only it's a 1 card drop from your hand, and since you always generally have counterblast available to you at any given point, it does help, especially if you're grade 2 gaming them. But yes, the grade 2 game is alive in this deck. You can definitely survive a Sea Breeze. Sea Breeze is not always the best answer in a lot of cases. And some people are even taking Sea Breeze out of their decks because some decks don't really work well in conjunction with Sea Breeze. So this deck can still play a fairly good grade 2 game, and so this card can definitely come in handy in situations. But the 3 perfect guards because you want perfect defense as well. And again, this deck doesn't really have a issue with guarding. So yeah, with counterblast. Because it has an unflip engine. 4 copies of Sarito. He's a Ripple Ride Chain grade 1. You want to open up with him so you can start your ride chain. Search out Pavroth, or not Pavroth. Bowris. They changed his name on me again. I hate when they change his name, but yeah, they call him Bowris on Cardfight, I believe, but it's Pavroth. Search out your grade 2 ride chain. Search out Genovius. Being able to search out Genovius early is really good too, because if you have Miltiades in your hand, you get to ride him and always be set up for a Genovius restand play. So that's very good. So yeah, he's very good, and he's just a nice vanilla 7k booster. He's not a very desirable target for your opponent to kill off of your board too, but he can get annoying as a decent 7k booster. 2 copies of Light Signals Penguin Soldier. This deck builds Soul quite a bit, so being able to Soul Blast 2 and draw is really good, especially in the early game. If you're pushing cards into Soul with Odysseus, you're using the Malika, the draw trigger, which I do use a little more aggressive in this deck pretty often to make better numbers. This guy definitely helps, gives you that nice +1 back to your hand. 2 copies of the best grade 1 in the deck. Flash Ripple Odysseus. He got hit to 2 for a reason. He's the quarterback of this deck, essentially. You push a card into the soul, and you search your deck for... pretty much you search your deck for grade 2 Ripple, you ride it, and then you call the same grade out of the soul and give that unit +2. This guy is very nasty. If you can open up with him, he will fix all of your problems. You want to open up with an Odysseus. You don't want to ride the Odysseus. You want to open up with him and be able to call him to the rear guard circle. If you have like a bad ride, like if you have to ride your PG, you can ride your PG, call Alex out, call Odysseus, push Alex into the soul, search out Cerrito, ride Cerrito, and then call out the grade 1 that you rode out, and you can actually make a column. You can make a column with Odysseus, or you can put Odysseus behind the Vanguard circle and do what you need to do. You won't be able to get the ride chain search if you ride that way, but it still fixes your ride chain. And then he allows you to also fail Legion with Miliades, and then use his ability to send a card into the soul from your field, search out Miliades, re-ride, and then re-ride, counterblast 1, search, and then Legion again. So you can fail Legion, use his ability, and then re-Legion. So you're sending back about 8 cards into your deck. So you're sending about 8 triggers into your deck. Fail to find Genovius the first time, use his ability, to grab another Miliades out your deck, then Legion back, and then you grab the Genovius out your deck. This guy makes so many good plays for this deck. It's just a very nasty card. And then now here's the option. I think this last spot I think is more of a tech portion of the deck, a place where it's pretty flex. For right now, I have 2 copies of Cavalry Neki just for the stride purposes, just to help with striding, so we're not dropping 3s and whatnot. But I know my boy Ajo, he ran Orthea, and I'm going to test her out soon too. But what she does, but you already know what Orthea does. So he's Topa Stride Fighter. He tested out Orthea at 2 in this spot to make a nice resist column with grade 2s, and I'll show you guys the grade 2s in a moment. But he tested out Orthea because, again, at the tournament he was expecting Chaos Breaker to be played very heavily, Kagro to be a pain and things like that, retire and whatnot. So in order to keep a consistent board, we wanted something on the board that's just going to stick there and stay. And so she's a very good booster that sticks there and stays, and also allows the 4th battle. So I think that she can replace her stride name, especially if you wanted to focus in on Legion a little bit more. And if you guys are striding, it does run enough grade 3s and does have a good amount of search power to search out the grade 3s if you need to stride for the following turn. So yeah, there is so you can do that. And then I have seen some people who also run the Limit Break Enabler in this slot as well. And the Limit Break Enabler is just there so you can get up Genovius' abilities early. Now, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this card in this slot. I prefer Orthea or the Stride Enabler in this slot. But, because I remember I did talk about this earlier that I liked it before. But after some more serious testing with this card, he wasn't really that helpful. He really wasn't that helpful, especially, with the changes I've made to this deck. But he's definitely another option just to allow Limit Break in for you to go through with what you need to do. All right, on the grade. But yeah, so for right now, doing these 2, but I'm going to be testing out Orthea because in the format that we are in, at least down here, she actually really comes in handy. All right, on the grade 2. All right, guys, so for grade 2s, 4 copies of the Ride Chain Grade 2 Rising Ripple Pavaroth. He's the guy that you generally want to sit on. If you have Cerrito in the soul, the Grade 1, he's a 10k base, and on hit, you get to reset a rear guard and give it +3. You don't have to have the Grade 0 in the soul, so that's a target to have for Penguin Soldier. And if you can get a draw trigger or another card into the soul by Odysseus or whatever, then you're set up for your Penguin plays, which is still very good. But yeah, this is the guy that you definitely want to be on your grade 2. Just overall good. The man that needs no explanation at all. You already know him. You love him. My favorite rear guard in Aqua Force, Title Assault. My dude right here. Wins games. Punishes opponent on grade 2. Stack triggers on him, still punishes opponent. Just a very good card overall. And then a card that Now I did take Ajo did run this, and he told me to try this out, and I was running this, and I see why he ran this. It's really good. It really provides really good defense against these against a lot of these retired decks. It's 4 copies of Millie-80s. Literally, it's another version of Tidal Assault, except it's Blue Storm Marine General Milos. He's literally Tidal Assault with resist, but you can only use his ability if your Vanguard's in Legion. If you stride over your Vanguard's not considered in Legion. Your Strident Vanguard just has 2 hearts, so they're not considered in Legion. So his ability won't be able to go off. But he does have resist, so he'll turn into pretty much a vanilla on rear guard Pavroth with resist, so he can't get denial griffined. And if you're in Legion, he's a Tidal Assault with resist, so he can't get denial griffined, which is an amazing thing. And then I know from what Ajo said, him and Orthea in the same column, an untouchable column, again something that can really helps the defensiveness of the deck. Now again, that's the reason really why he ran it and he was telling me that I should try it out, is because again, playing who doesn't want to play 8 Tidal Assaults? Come on. Who doesn't? So if in the game plan you're taking more of a Legion focus finish for the deck, this guy is definitely something to have. Now, another card that I wanted to test out as well is and I found 4 copies of her, but is Blue Storm Battle Princess Limpina. Now, what she does is wave 3rd time or more. When she attacks a Vanguard and your Vanguard's in Legion, you can counterblast 1, draw a card, and she gains 2k. So she's a 12k attacker on the 3rd battle or more, and you can draw a card for a counterblast. So on the Genovia's restand play, you can attack with her last on the 3rd battle. You can counterblast 1, draw a card. Then when you restand with Genovia's, you can counterblast again and draw another card, and she'll be a 12k attacker. So that's something that I'm going to be trying out. But this guy having resist definitely puts up a good defense against Chaos Breaker and Kagura. And as you guys know, my brother is a huge really big on Kagura right now, and so I really believe that at least as a meta call, Milos for this deck is the better option. All right, and on to grade 3. And I know if you're concerned about where's Lapis, the lack of, I guess, Ripple, the Ripple 12k attacker. I understand about him not being here, but the reason is because, I believe the reason why I feel like it's good to eliminate him is because, he really didn't do too much to the deck. He was kind of more like a vanilla 12k attacker, and I believe that Milos in the long run, and for obviously Tidal Assault, but Milos really, and even her, provide you with more. They give you more value. His resist skill and him being a Tidal Assault while in Legion gives you more value overall, especially when it comes to matchups, than Lapis would just being a 12k attacker if you have a rested Ripple or 2. So I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, so you definitely get more play value out of him than you would Lapis from my testing. All right, on to 3. All right, so for grade 3, it's pretty simple. Running 4 copies of Millie-80s. When he's in Legion with Genovia's 21k Legion, and when he attacks, if you have three or more units and your front row rested, you get to countercharge. You get to stand a unit, countercharge 1, and if your back row has 3 units rested, you get to draw a card. So you pretty much, if you attack with your whole field, you get to draw a card if you have all 3 cards in your back row rested. And when he attacks, if pretty much when you attack, and when you attack and you have 3 more units rested, as long as you go 1-2, you get to reset a unit for an extra attack. So he does create an extra battle. He is probably one of the best Vanguards. Playing with him more, he's one of my he's become one of my favorite Aqua Force Vanguards. I really like him. And then 3 copies of Genovia's. I did cut out a copy of Genovia's because he was beginning to definitely clog. I am seeing him really a lot more often. Having the extra copy of it. I was playing him at 2 before to add more room in, but I figured 3 was a sufficient number because he's a card that you want to see often, but not too often. You want to see him at more or less the opportune time, and I wanted to make more room in my deck for grade 1s and 2s and stuff, so that's why I had to cut him down to 1. And so I do see him pretty consistently. The deck does have enough search power to get him to your hand, and so he's, it's still very good, especially when you Legion. But you don't want to ride him. He's more of the weapon. This guy is your he's more of the ammo. This guy is your weapon. He's the ammo. He's the weapon. You can use him to beat over something and shoot your Genovises. So that's how I kind of think of it. So yeah, and on the Stride deck. Oh, and if you didn't know, in Legion, when you're entire, pretty much, if the number of Aqua's rear guards in your front row rested is 3, you can counterblast 2, Persona Blast, so you discard 1 from your hand, and you can restand your entire field. That's pretty much how you win. That's pretty much your win con in a way for this deck, outside of Lambie Bambi is doing that. All right, and on to Stride deck. All right, guys. So for my Stride deck, playing 1 copy of Rain Element Madhu. Madhu is there because when you stride over, usually when you want to do this when you're in Legion, you stride over like Genovius so you can grab a Genovius to your hand. This is one of the ways that you can just grab a Genovius back into your hand so you can do your Legion plays. Now you can run more copies of him. I was actually I was running 2 copies of him. I'm switching between 2 copies of Madhu and a copy of Blizzard for the Chaos Breaker matchup. When I played against my boy Domino Paris 21, he was running Blizzard in his deck, I believe it was, and late game, since a lot of things do persona flips and whatnot, he strode Blizzard, and it was like, how many perfect guards in your drop zone? One of those long drawn out games. Okay, you have 4 perfect guards in your drop zone. You damage check 2 of them. You rolled 1 of them. Blah blah blah. So I'm gonna attack you for like 63 or something. With that, some ungodly number, and I can't guard. I couldn't guard that. So this guy can definitely come in late game. So that's why I'm trying out 2 and 2. 1 and 1. But you can do what you need to do. 1 copy of Sea Breeze. Because sometimes people will try to play the grade 2 game against you, and this deck again doesn't really care about counterblast and anything like that. So go ahead and Sea Breeze them, and then you can always Legion with Miliades and get your counterblast back. So yeah, it's a pretty solid Stride overall. And then 1 copy of Aristotle. Aristotle's in there, when you're behind, if you're behind and things like that, he helps you, kill an important starter, kill a card, and get your advantage back. Aristotle's just been a godsend since he came out. So for G guards, I'm playing 2 copies of Floatia, 1 copy of Screw, and 1 Dismal, just like we do in Thavas, guys. Aquaforce G Guard, don't really like her, but I've been finding in more situations I actually have been using her, and so getting more experience playing her, she's been coming up a little bit more often now. I'm probably still going to sub her out for a Dismal if I can get my hands on another one, but it's been really hard to get hands on another one. And then 1 Screw, because Screw's been Screw really helps in a lot of other matchups. Again, I still do want to get my hands on another Screw and try out 2 Screws, but yeah. All right, and then we have 4 copies of probably the Stride card that I go into the most in this deck as a first Stride. Commander Thavas, 4 copies of him. I love this card, guys. I talk about him so much, so often. He's a very, very good card, guys. Very, very good, very powerful. He's a card that keeps you in games against Link Jokers, and puts Link Jokers in the corner, being able to give up a unit back row attack. Nothing better than putting Tidal on the back row, giving him 5k and back row attack, and make him 14. And if you hit a trigger, you can stack it on him. Otherwise, you can go 14 poke at Vanguard, then 9 to side at like a Photon or an Iron or Colony Maker or something like that, and either force a death, force a kill on rear guard or a shield from hand. Since they play 12 criticals, they don't want to really drop a 10k shield for that, or you can force them to drop like a Zinc or another rear guard to block that. Something along those lines. But then his GB3 skill to pick 3 and retire 1, get that Thavis control ability off is very nice. You guys don't know how much I love this guy. This guy put in so much work for me on Saturday in my Thavis deck when I was playing against Gabe and when he was playing Chaos Breaker. He was pretty much putting me in positions to win games, but just some unfortunate situations that were out of my hands happened, and it is what it is. But again, I'm gonna talk about that when I get to my tournament report. But yeah, Commander Thavis. I've been saying this at the beginning. I firmly believe he is a staple at 4 of. If you don't have access to him, I understand he's like $75 expensive, and I know people are praying for reprints. I'm an advocate for reprints, but right now I'm gonna say if you can get your hands on 4 copies of him, please play 4 copies of him. If you can get your hands on at least 2 copies of him, please play at least 2 copies of him. Play as many as you can afford. And then 4 copies of another man that needs no explanation, Lambie Bambi Baby. This guy is just godly. He's the finisher. He wins games. Title Assault gives us access to him. Again, I told you since I'm gonna be testing out Orthea, it's gonna be another window into Lambie Bambi. So definitely, the best finisher in Aqua Force. He wins games. Again, when I played Thavis the other day, he was a lot of times it only took 1 Lambros to win a game. Even though G Guardians did help and did hurt him a bit, with the 1 card guard. And sometimes I have to do 2 Lambroses, but 1 Lambros can either win a game or put you in position to another game to win a game, cripple the opponent or kill him, destroy. But yeah, that's been deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, shout out to my man Ajo for winning the Summer Wars East Coast Circuit at Island Games the other day. Again, I'll link the my Team Sack. I'll link the description. I'll link it in the description below. Our team channel. He has his deck profile and tournament report down on the channel down below. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this profile, and hope you guys go enjoy his deck profile and coverage. All right, Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace.